Yes? Margaret, yes.
So I'm curious about this cost-benefit analysis of suffering, enlightenment. It occurs to me that most of us have paid a very great price for our suffering in a wide variety of ways. Very valuable to us because we paid a lot for it.
Yeah.
And it's also very entangled in who we are. And so to spend our suffering on this notion of enlightenment, which, unless you had teachers, I believe, is pretty hard to identify, or to, what is it that I would spend all this cachet that I have in suffering? And so, and I just see in my day and my life, and even in my own personal relationships, how we struggle to let go of the suffering. And so much goes with it.
Yes.
So much of ourselves goes with it to pay it for nothing, right? It's seemingly nothing. So I think the great value of the teacher is to show us what this nothing is worth.
Yes.
And of course, the trick is to be able to make the transaction between the suffering. And I'm not sure I'm going to end up with a question, but I see that as being the real conundrum, is that moment, is to try and explain to someone, well, if you could even sit with us for a little while and think about this, your suffering might be worth it to let go of the suffering. And it's just it's just a no.
Yes.
A no.
Yes.
Now, I've lost myself in nature, as you described early in your talk. It's my preferred place to be. And sometimes it's a lot of work. But, so to me, I know now, and have had great success, especially recently, in being willing to pay the price for freedom. Liberation, is that the word?
Freedom, yes.
Yeah. And so I think that your talk tonight and some of the talks you've given so far this year really can exemplify the great value of the teacher. Because I don't know how we would get there alone. I couldn't possibly get there in my suffering mind with all that trauma and torment and misrepresentation. So I just think that I just want to say, yes, get a teacher.
Yes.
And so make a plan and take a path.
Yes, that's exactly what I would say. Did everyone hear that? Is anyone out there? I can't see. Oh, okay. Well, welcome back. Is it because it was so dark? Oh, good. Because it's darker outside. Then I should have turned out all the lights. So yes. I don't know how to add to that. Absolutely, get a teacher, choose a path, and walk it. Absolutely. That's the point of my talk.
Because working through suffering doesn't seem to exist. You can work and work and work and work and work and work through suffering.
Yes.
You just keep tilling the same soil over and over. Wow. Well said.
Can I quote you on that? Yeah. So what is it? What was it? It's, you can never work through suffering. Is that what you said?
Well, you can work it, but but you can't get through it.
Yeah, you can't get through suffering.
Not that way.
Not that way. I like it. I don't think so either.
My extensive experience.
Yeah. Mine too. Yeah, it's well said. I love it. Yeah. It's really good stuff that you're saying. Huh? Yep. Really good. That's right. Yes. That's great. Wow, that was good. Pretty good. That was pretty good. We have that recorded, right? We should play that often. We should. Wow. Say it again. Can you say it again? The whole thing. Just close enough. Try. Do it again. Yeah.
We think we have to work through suffering before we can even think about letting it go. I didn't say that, but
yeah.
And so we work through it, but it's just constantly dredging up the same stuff in a different format.
Yeah.
And so we just keep tilling the soil, and I think it becomes dead if you do that, because that's what happens in agriculture, right? You till it to death, but it never goes away.
That's a good analogy.
Is that good?
The whole thing's been pretty good. This is good stuff. Wow. Okay, so may I ask you a question? What should you do instead?
Well, I had to breathe until I surrendered. I had to surrender. Just know that wasn't going to work. And while it was very expensive, just wasn't worth it.
Great.
It took a lot of breathing.
Yeah. And having teachers tell you to breathe was helpful?
Oh yeah, well, for all of last year, I couldn't have done it without someone telling me every couple of times a day to breathe. Because I was prepared to not breathe. So it helped very much. I had to be told because I didn't know what to do. I was suffering. I didn't know what to do.
Very good. Anything else? Are we there? No, thank you. Believe it or not, I'm going to be a little picky because I'm gonna pick those who ask fewer questions on average. Okay, so I think you asked, of the three people who have their hands up, I think you've asked the fewest questions. Yep.
Can I ask a really naive question? Only been coming here a few years.
Yeah.
Doing this part-time.
Yeah.
And what is enlightenment? what do we mean by enlightenment, and how do we know when we've gotten there?
Yeah, the second question is actually a very interesting question. The second question is very interesting, actually. Very, very interesting. I don't know how to answer it. It's extremely mysterious that with liberation comes the knowledge liberated. It's very strange, extremely strange, that somehow, so there are lots of different ways of talking about enlightenment. One way to talk about it is that you completely relinquish, completely let go of, completely drop body and mind. Your experience of having a body and a mind completely ceases. So obviously your senses have to cease for this to happen. Consciousness has to cease. There's the complete cessation of perception, feeling, consciousness, mind, body, life. That subsequent to that, there is the knowledge liberated is incredible. It's amazing. How can we explain that? I don't know. Another way to talk about enlightenment is that enlightenment means that you have fulfilled your purpose in being born. You've completely finished what you are alive to do. Another way to talk about enlightenment, another way to talk about it, is that you have had the direct experience, not in any way imagined or fabricated, but the direct experience of not being in conflict with anyone in any way. Which is to say that you have directly experienced perfect friendship with all beings. Perfect friendship with all beings. So the act of being in conflict with anyone at all completely ends. And then somehow, this is so mysterious that there isn't a clear way to talk about it. Somehow, friendship happens. That's utterly miraculous. We've been talking about teachers. The world, as Margaret was saying, is entrenched in greed, in conflict, in insanity. Yes, you were suffering. You didn't know what to do. We're suffering. We go insane. We are not able to make appropriate decisions. We don't make reasonable choices. We're insane. We're deluded. We're ignorant regarding what is to our benefit, the benefit of others, the benefit of both. So we're caught up in this self-centered, self-conscious, insecure greed. We're guided by conflict, competition, even ill will. And we engage in ways that are insane, that are not helpful. That, yes, is horrifying, and it's the state of the world. So there we are. right? That happens. Such a thing happens. And yet, miraculously, that is not our true nature. And somehow, exactly those people and exactly that world, which is entrenched in all those things, we, who are caught in all that, nonetheless, pay attention to these teachings. Nonetheless, do the work in order to free ourselves from those maladies. Somehow, we overcome all of that. There's something, somehow, that overcomes all of that. And enlightenment is the direct realization of what that is. Which you could call, if you wanted, true friendship. But you can call it what you want. You can call it God or something else, depending on who you are. So you directly realize that with your mind and your body. It's impossible. And it happens. How then that becomes the knowledge liberated is precisely that miracle. Does that answer your question?
It's a lot to digest. It almost sounds as if you have to die before you can achieve it. And on the other hand, it sounds like it's a daily practice. And on the other hand, it's, I'm not sure.
Well, all of that's true. It's a daily practice, and you have to die in order to achieve it.
And on the other hand, it sounded like it might take multiple lifetimes to achieve it.
Right, all of that's true. Okay. It might take not many lifetimes. Just for your body to die isn't sufficient, of course. That doesn't really get you very far, actually. Often it goes in the wrong direction. In general, it goes in the wrong direction. This is much to drop your mind and body turns out to be a more subtle process than you might think. Just because you die doesn't mean you dropped mind or body. Not at all. Not in the slightest. I have this thing. I'm holding this. Yes. To drop it turns out to be more rare than for someone to just knock it out of your hand. You could say by mistake drop it. That would be like dying physically. Then you lost your body, but it had the nature of dying anyway. You didn't let go of it. It just went through its natural cycle and stopped functioning. So you sort of had to drop it. Does that make sense? But to actually drop it, that's hard. To actually let go of this thing, it can fall apart, it can decompose. But then you'll find another one. And that's what we do. We continually pick up mind and body. We don't want to relinquish them. We identify with them. We're willing to hold tight to these things. Yes? Very, very tight. To actually drop it, that's very unusual. It's not hard. I just did it. But it's unusual. Right? It's unusual. That's all. I think that's the first time in all of the years that we've been running these Sunday sits that someone dropped the mallet. Have you ever? Yeah, see? It's unusual. So, and then somehow you pick it up. It's unbelievable. But from then on, you can just put it down. Just like that. It is. It is very simple. What does it have to do with enlightenment? Enlightenment means letting go. Yeah. Okay. We have time for one more. We have time for one more question that cannot take more than 2 minutes, correct? Right? 2 minutes. Okay. And if we don't have any, then we can just stop now. Yes.
Okay. So I'm wondering if maybe in a way that the earlier talk, it felt like maybe it's complexifying something about this process of enlightenment. Like, I don't necessarily know exactly what I would have to do to enter that space or to sort of become that.
Become what?
Enlightened.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I also sort of wonder, you know, in terms of suffering and in terms of all these things, and also in terms of teaching, like, do we actually know what's required? I mean, I know that there's been people who've done it.
Yeah, we know exactly what's required.
But I also don't think that I have a really clear conception of why we don't just do it more at will than we do, other than just maybe a profound ignorance of the nature of my own mind and being and how that sort of goes in.
There it is.
You know.
You nailed it. That was it.
But I would just presume the idea that it's quite possible that there is some much easier way that exists that simply we just don't know.
Easier than what?
Than sort of, you know, struggling through life and banging my head against walls and, you know, not listening to speakers and
definitely. There
that
is.
kind of thing.
Yeah, there is. There is definitely a faster and easier way.